Now, another group of people that we come into contact with often are people who support the Judeo-Christian tradition. And we should be clear to them that in fact if they believed in the Judeo-Christian scriptures, that they should believe in the Prophet Muhammadﷺ. So no matter what people will say about you, they will call you terrorists, and they will say that you oppress your women, and they will let them tell you anything that they want, but say, look, let's come back to the basics. You have a book, you say that this is a book from God. Alright, are you following that book? In the book of Deuteronomy in the Old Testament, in the Jewish scriptures, in chapter 18, in verse number 18, there is a mention of a prophet to come after Musa alayhi salam. This prophet is described as one who will hear the revelations, and God will put the words into his mouth, and that is what he will deliver to people, telling them about the things to come. This is a clear reference to the Prophet Muhammadﷺ, because we can see that this is a description of the manner in which he received the revelation. And again in the Jewish scriptures, in the Song of Solomon, in chapter 5, in verse number 16, even the name is mentioned, because a certain person is being described. His physical features are mentioned. And then it says, he is Muhammad. In the Song of Solomon, chapter 5, verse number 16. Now we know the word Muhammad has a meaning. It means one who is praised, the praised one. So if you wanted to translate the name, you can give it a meaning. Just like other names in the Old Testament has a meaning. So they look at the meaning of the word according to the Hebrew language, and then they give it, he is altogether lovely, instead of keeping the name Muhammad. So one who is reading the English translation has no clue that the word Muhammad is mentioned there. But if you ask any Jewish person to read that verse for you, when he reads it, you will hear the word Muhammad in there, because it is there in the Jewish scriptures in the Hebrew language. So even the name is mentioned. In the New Testament, in the Christian scriptures, we find a reference back to that prophecy which was made about the prophet like Musa alayhi salam. Because we see that when Isa alayhi salam comes to the scene, there is already an expectation that a prophet is going to come. That prophet is going to come. So in the time of Isa alayhi salam, we also have John the Baptist, who is known to us as Yahya alayhi salam. Now Yahya is baptizing people and he's preaching with authority. So the Jewish leaders who know their scriptures, they come to Yahya and they ask him, according to the Gospel of John in chapter 1, they ask Yahya, are you the Christ? He says no. They ask him, are you Elijah? He says no. They ask him, are you that prophet? And he says no. So that means that people were expecting three figures. They were expecting Elijah, who can come back at any time, because they had an idea that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not leave Elijah, the prophet, to die, but lifted him up. And they thought that any time Elijah will come back into the earth. So they're asking, are you this Elijah? They are expecting that the Messiah, the Christ, will come. Messiah means Christ. Al-Masih means in Greek, the Christ. So they're asking him, are you the Masih? Are you the Christ? He says no. They ask him, are you that prophet? He says no. Now why do you ask a thing like that? Are you that prophet? It means there is a specific prophet that they're expecting, and they're asking him, are you that prophet? And he says no. Now Isa alayhi salam obviously was the Christ, and he came just shortly after Yahya alayhi salam. He was born 6 months later, according to the New Testament. So if he is the Christ, well then who is that prophet? Obviously one who was still to come, judging from the time of Isa alayhi salam. Now Isa alayhi salam also spoke of that prophet, because in the Gospel according to John, in chapter 16, in verse number 7, and all the related verses in that area, he's talking about a similar individual who is going to come, who is going to hear the words of God, who is going to prophesy and tell about the things which will happen. He's obviously referring to the same individual that was spoken about in the Jewish scriptures, that prophet like Moses. Now many Christians think, well, that Jesus was that prophet, but obviously he was not. Isa alayhi salam left the scene. And according to Acts of the Apostles in chapter 3, we read that Peter, one of the disciples of Jesus, is saying that Isa alayhi salam will remain in heaven until that time of restoration comes. And he's describing that time of restoration as meaning the time when God will send that prophet. So that means Peter, the disciple of Jesus, the chief disciple, is still expecting that that prophet will come, and then eventually Isa alayhi salam will come back. again. So we see very clearly that the Prophet Muhammadﷺ is mentioned in the Jewish and Christian scriptures. And if they really truly believe in the scriptures, we Muslims should be asking them to please recognize also the Prophet Muhammad SAW. Because the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 18, verse 19 says that if you do not recognize that prophet, God will require it of you. In other words, he will bring you to judgment.
This prophecy is carried into the New Testament period. In John chapter 1, in the New Testament, we were told that Levites sent messengers to Yahya alayhi salam, John the Baptist, who was baptizing people in the Jordan River. They want to know, who do you think you are? So they say to him, Su tis'e, who are you? To John the Baptist. And then John says, the author of the Gospel of John, the evangelist, he says that John the Baptist did not deny, and he confessed, and he said, Uk eimi ego ha Christos, I am not the Christ. So then the messengers ask him, who are you then? Are you Elijah? According to Jewish theology, the prophet Elijah, or Eliyahu, was carried up into heaven on a chariot of fire, according to the book of 2 Kings, and that he will come again just before the Messiah. He will be sort of the herald of the Messiah. So then the messengers from the Levites ask John the Baptist, are you Elijah? And he says, Uk eimi, I am not. So then they ask him a third question. So the Jews in the New Testament period were waiting for three great luminaries. This is how they understood this verse. They ask him a third question, and that question is, Ha prophetes esu, are you the prophet? Right? So the question is not, are you a prophet? The question is, are you the prophet? And the prophet, if you have a cross-reference in your Bible, it is reference to Deuteronomy 18:18, the Mosaic antitype. Right? So there's three distinct lines of prophecy: the coming of Elijah, or I should say the second coming of Elijah, the coming of the Christ, and the coming of the prophet. So I would say that really only in Islam do these scriptures find fulfillment. Right? In Luke, Jesus actually says John the Baptist is Elijah. John the Baptist didn't know at that time, but he comes in the spirit and power of Elijah, not a literal reincarnation. Obviously, Jesus is the Christ, who is the prophet.